Hey everybody, Matt Colville here. Never fear, once the Kickstarter wraps up March 11th, we will return you to your regularly scheduled running the game videos. Regularly scheduled. I know I said the next video was going to be Artisan Followers, and we are definitely going to do an Artisan Followers video, but it's not this one, and it may not be the next one. I may have something more interesting to talk about, but I wanted to spend the rest of the time we have remaining giving you folks as much information as possible, and to that end, I wanted to do a video covering all the questions folks have asked on the Kickstarter page that were not covered in the old version of the FAQ. For instance, a lot of people were asking, what does EU-friendly mean? And this is a term I was unfamiliar with. This came from folks online saying that they wanted to pledge, but they couldn't because shipping was already expensive. And then they were saying, and it's not EU-friendly, so I can't afford it. And I was actually ignorant, and I said, I don't know what that means. Whatever it is, we want to be EU-friendly. Please explain to me. And it comes out through discussions online that what folks thought was that not only are they paying for shipping, internationally, obviously people in the US don't have to worry about this, but people paying for shipping internationally would then get hit locally in their own country, not billed by us, by value-added taxes and import duties. And so we just made sure, I was pretty sure that wasn't true. But I went and talked to all the folks in charge of shipping, and we confirmed that if you are in the EU, your value-added tax and your import duties are covered in your cost of shipping. That's one of the reasons shipping is so expensive. And we partnered with folks who will make sure that you get your product in a timely manner, and they are in charge of handling all of the inevitable screw-ups that happen with a certain percentage of packages end up being lost in the post or delivered to the wrong place, and these folks handle that, which is good because, especially with the volume we had, I remember I thought we might get as many as 3,000 backers, but we got a whole lot more than that, and there's no way that we personally could handle that kind of shipping. You wouldn't get your product until like 2019. So happily, the cost of shipping covers not only for the EU import duties and value-added tax, but it also, they're in charge of making sure you get your product in a timely manner, and they handle all complaints and everything like that, which is a huge burden off our shoulders, and they are reputable, and they've handled super big Kickstarters before. So we are confident that that whole process is going to be very smooth. It's one of the things that causes Kickstarters to fail is the shipping just being, completely underestimating how much it's going to cost and not counting things like import duties, value-added tax, loss, the fact that some percentage of packages just don't end up where they're supposed to go, and you're on the hook to handle that. So when people see the price and they see the sticker shock, that is all covered in there. The second most common cause of failure among Kickstarters is just grossly overpromising when it comes to stretch goals and add-ons. And there's a whole community of folks on the Kickstarter website right now talking about us doing more stretch goals and us doing more add-ons. And I completely understand that. I am somebody who has backed. You can go to the accounts, the Kickstarter's under my name. So you can click on me and see all the stuff I backed, including the minis. Folks were asking where I got those minis. It's from a Kickstarter I backed. And you can see which one when you go to which projects I've backed. And I understand that. That's part of what makes a Kickstarter fun is that notion that it's a living, growing thing. But everyone I talked to, all my friends at Atlas Games, my friends at Monty Cook Games, my friend John Wick, Ryan Dancy, all told me exactly the same thing, which is stop where you are. You've already promised a ridiculous amount of stuff. You've already promised not only a book, which is the core goal, but also the stream, which you're on the hook for, which I'm happy that I'm ecstatic that we've been looking for offices, for instance, and that's a lot of fun. But also you're on the hook for minis. Both the stream and the minis were originally stretch goals. If we can get all these things done, if we can make our dates, from my point of view, we will be heroes. How many Kickstarters miss their dates? I know that no plan survives contact with the enemy, but we really want to provide the products that we promised in a timely manner, and that is what all my thought is bent upon. So this is the catch-all answer to you should do more stretch goals, you should do more add-ons, is I feel like we've done enough. We've promised a lot. I understand that desire for more and that desire to be part of this growing, exciting thing, but I also really, really, really do not want to fail. I don't want to let you people down, right? I want to make a book that folks like. I want to make minis that excite people, and I want to produce a stream that engages people. And that right there, that's three completely different categories of things that we are on the hook for. And I believe we can do all these things, but adding more onto that is just a great way to make it more likely that we fail. And I don't think anybody wants that. A lot of folks want to know if they move between now and when the book is delivered, will they be able to change their address? Absolutely. We're going to launch a pledge manager. We've signed a contract with some folks, and you'll be able to manage where you live and where your product is delivered via the pledge manager. Once we start talking about pirate ship rules, folks want naval combat, and there won't be any rules for naval combat in the Strongholds and Followers book. There'll be a basic version of my warfare rules in there so that you can fight wars with your new units, for instance. But in Kingdoms and Warfare, depending on how the playtest goes, really, for Strongholds and Followers, if there's a great hue and cry for naval warfare, I think it'd be relatively straightforward and easy to adapt my rules into naval combat, but that's for the next book. Also, once we started talking about pirate ships, the floodgates opened. It's funny, before we talked about pirate ships, folks were just really keen to find out more about the core strongholds. But once I mentioned pirate ships and barbarian camps, all of a sudden we got a whole bunch of people asking about, are you going to have rules for underwater strongholds? Are you going to have rules for a dwarven mine as a stronghold? And those are good questions, but we also got people, obviously, there's a million different ways to play D&D. That's one of the things we love about this hobby. And so I literally had people asking about floating sky ships that moved backward in time. Like they're running some kind of Spelljammer Doctor Who game. And every time people asked about that, I was like, your game sounds amazing. I would love to play in that. But obviously, there's not really any way for me to kind of divine every possible permutation of Stronghold that's out there. The goal of the rules is to keep the function of Strongholds relatively simple and straightforward. This is not an elaborate rules system. It's simple abilities, a couple of different permutations for each that will allow, I think, really anyone reading these rules to go, oh, it would be very easy for me to take this and tweak it and then have a really interesting boutique stronghold. I think the weirdest strongholds you're going to see are mobile strongholds, which I've already written the rules for that, floating strongholds, and I think we will cover, just in case you have a very specific villain in your game, a giant black tower that teleports around the world to a random location once every 24 hours. But otherwise, you're going to see the 4 core strongholds. Each one of them is going to have 2 or 3 different permutations, and from there, you should be able, I think, to customize your own stronghold. Folks want to know if they can get the STL files for the minis, and if you don't know what that means, that's basically, will we be selling or giving away the actual computer files that would let people 3D print the minis on their own? And that was a good question, and I didn't really know. This is something I don't know a lot about. And so anytime I'm super ignorant of something, I tend to want to be conservative and just do a bunch of research. And listening to different people online asking about this, what I saw evolving in the conversation was folks who backed, especially the folks who backed for all 5 minis, saying, look, like, this is supposed to be Kickstarter exclusive. Like, why should anybody get to just make these minis on their own? And that's the thing I really didn't want to, I don't want to rain on those people's parade. Though there's a lot of people who are buying the minis explicitly because they want to help support the channel and because it's Kickstarter exclusive and special. And I want to preserve that. So in the future, when we do other minis that are not Kickstarter exclusive, we will revisit this issue. And again, it's going to be something where I just talk to a whole bunch of people that do this at other companies and just see what they do, see if there are standards and practices. But ultimately, for these minis that were Kickstarter exclusive, you will not be able to just grab the STL files and make your own. Someone on the Kickstarter asked if there will be rules for recruiting monster factions, and I think if you've watched the previous update, you know that the answer is yes. You can absolutely, anybody can buy, depending on the campaign you're in, obviously, anyone can buy units from any species, except some of them are going to be really expensive, depending on the alliances you've made in your game. But there are rules for orc units and hobgoblin units and stuff like that, and in the special allies chart, there's almost nothing but monsters in the special allies chart. Some of them are good, some of them are evil, some of them are neutral. But so there's plenty of cool monster stuff represented. And I believe we are going to see new original monsters that are not covered in anything we've talked about yet. Not the gemstone dragons. Those I'm super excited by. And the reason we talk about them is because they get their own minis. But I'm talking about other things that will replace some existing popular creatures that I just have my own different version of. No spoilers. Folks want to see more art for the dragons. Of course they do. This is something where people are pledging a lot of money or they're thinking about pledging a lot of money and they want to know what these things are going to look like. And this is just something that I was dumb about. And, remember that the original point of the Kickstarter, the original thing we were raising money for was to pay for the art for the book. And at the time, I was just paying folks out of pocket for the cover a mock-up and the completed first version of the adult Ruby Dragon that everybody saw. And I was just happy to, now, especially since I knew how successful the Kickstarter was, I just told the artist, okay, start working on the next dragon, and he was happy to do so. And then I realized, hang on a minute, wait, and he did that for about a week. He was working on the big dragon, the largest one, the ancient sapphire dragon. But then I had to kind of put the kibosh on that and say, no, hang on a minute. Folks need to see roughs for the other 4 dragons. Originally, my plan was, hey, folks, look at this cool dragon. We're going to make 4 more like this. I need money for the art. And I really had no intention of getting more art before the Kickstarter was over, because that's what we were going to use the Kickstarter money for. But now it's obvious. I think we're going to be okay. So let's get more art now. There aren't many days left, but my friend is working really hard to get the other 4 roughs done. You know, the future is uncertain, but I definitely hope I can show you folks something before the end of the Kickstarter. And if we fail to do that, it is purely on me. It's my own naivete and ignorance about how the Kickstarter was going to work, and also what people were going to expect to see. And then not thinking, I was just so ecstatic that we blew through all our goals. I was happy to tell the artist, hey, you know what? You don't have to wait. Just start working on the next dragon. I should have told him, please just do the roughs for all 4. That's what he's working on now. And apart from the roughs for those dragons, I hope to have some other interesting stuff to show you in the next, 24 to 48 hours. Again, no spoilers. I think there was a perception on the Kickstarter page especially that I was being uncommunicative, and that is literally true, because I thought I had set things up on my end so that my friends, the people helping me, Lars and Anna and Jerry, could be helping me answer questions. But actually what I did was I did all the work to set that up, and then I failed to press the final button. And so questions weren't getting answered, but we are now caught up. And also, from my point of view, I was being incredibly communicative because I was on Twitter, I was on my subreddit, I'm in the Discord. We do a live chat every Saturday night. Folks ask tons of questions. And I was on a podcast and a live stream that was exclusively about how are these rules going to work. So I will link to those below and you can check them out. And I promise I will be on Kickstarter regularly now, answering people's questions and responding to all the emails I got. We got it took me a long time to answer all the emails we've gotten from people on Kickstarter. Everyone I'm responding to is getting a personalized message from me, and that's a lot of work, but people are supporting my content and they believe in me, and I feel like taking the time to respond to their emails specifically and address their questions I want to say it's the least I can do, but the least I can do is get a book done. So this is, I feel like it's part and parcel of the community that we have and kind of the tacit agreement we have, part of the social contract. Folks want text updates whenever there's a video update, and I sympathize with that. This video will have that, but for me, it's tricky because it takes as long to transliterate something that I've spent, half a day basically recording and editing a video to then turn it into text in addition to that. And I'm more concerned with making sure you get lots of updates. I'd rather have more updates than do video and text every time. Typically, I think you can rely on folks in the comments who have watched the video to answer questions for people that haven't. I understand the desire for the text update, and Anna and Lars have both talked about ways to go through and kind of transliterate what I said into text that I could then just look at and maybe edit and update. But really, my goal is to make sure you get more information than it is to make sure everything's in both video and text. That's it, folks. That's the updated frequently asked questions video. I want to do a video update every day from now till the end of the Kickstarter. I don't know if I'll be able to achieve that, but that is my goal. We only have, I think, 10 days left. March 11th is when we finish up, so I guess 11 days left. Super exciting, and there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about and cool stuff to show you. Oh, also, speaking of showing you folks new cool stuff, we have prints of the stickers. When we got these, we were like, these are good for back of your laptop stick. In fact, I'm gonna do that right now. Hang on. Yeah, look at this. Look at that. Now those are so these are fine for the back of your laptop, but we are talking to the folks about bumper sticker sized ones, which is what we kind of were expecting. This one's upside down, by the way. That should be 80, not 08, which we probably wouldn't have known if I hadn't pointed it out, but I am all about full transparency, especially transparency regarding my own ignorance and stupidity. So that's it, folks. We are making steady progress on all fronts, and you will get more updates as the campaign marches toward its exciting conclusion. Until tomorrow, peace out.